Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone Air and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is the better one for you. Now, in almost every single way I can imagine, the iPhone Air is going to be the iPhone that is going to be the better one, probably for the everyday average person. However, with that being said, I still think an iPhone 13 Pro Max does have a few advantages, over something like an iPhone Air. So let's go and see how both these iPhones pretty much compare. If you want to pick up either one of these particular phones, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both of these iPhones. The iPhone 13 Pro Max originally came out back in 2021. So this phone is already a couple of years old, so you're going to have to kind of keep that in mind. And it's not the oldest iPhone, and it is actually giving you a couple of features for it being this nice. It is giving you a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display on the front side. So it's a big display, it's a bigger display than something like an iPhone Air. So some of you may actually prefer that. It's not the brightest display, it only gets you like 1200 nits of peak brightness or something like that. But it does give you a ProMotion display. So that is a very nice thing to have. Having a 120Hz display, even if it is a 4-year-old panel, that is still going to be a really nice thing to have. And if I'm going to go through and pick up a phone, I definitely do feel like that is a pretty big advantage and a really, really nice thing to have there inside of these types of devices. So with something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max, the panel itself isn't bad. And for this old of a phone, I think it still looks pretty good. The thing is that it is giving you a notch, and it's not the nicest type of panel, but I would still imagine that, for a lot of people out there, you're still going to have a pretty good time within this type of device when it comes down to it. With something like the iPhone Air, this phone is going to be slightly different. So this phone is going to be giving you a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. Now this is a very nice panel. It's going to be an LTPO display. It's going to be giving you ProMotion just like the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But there's 3 advantages for this type of panel. Actually 4. 1, there's less bezel on it. So you're going to be seeing way less bezel on something like an iPhone Air. 2, it is going to be giving you that dynamic island. So that right there, it is a really nice thing to be able to have that dynamic island right there. 3, it is giving you a 3000 nits of peak brightness display, which is awesome. That's a very, very bright panel, significantly, I think almost twice as bright or more than twice as bright compared to something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And number 4, it is going to be an always-on display. So if you care about an always-on display, you're definitely going to be getting that type of capability inside of this type of device when it comes down to it as well. So I look at this type of phone and I definitely do think Apple did a really good job with the iPhone Air's panel itself. And I feel like that right there is a really nice advantage for that type of phone. Now the iPhone Air is also going to be giving you a USB Type-C port at the bottom. So that right there is going to be one of those things to keep in mind there too, because you are going to be getting USB Type-C compared to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is going to be giving you Lightning. So getting Lightning is going to be a little bit worse, as you can imagine. But the iPhone Air with its USB Type-C port is going to be a really, really nice thing from that side, which is something that's really nice in and of itself. On the back side, you're going to be getting frosted glass backs on both. The iPhone Air is going to be giving you the single camera setup on the backside, which is crazy. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is giving you this triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor. You're both going to be getting MagSafe capability on the backside, which is nice. So on the exterior, at least, they both look very good, but the iPhone Air definitely, I think, is going to be the phone that's probably going to look a little bit better. It's going to feel a little bit more premium probably than the 13 Pro Max, and it's going to be significantly slimmer. But I feel like the 13 Pro Max is still one of those devices that holds up very well, especially from the build quality standpoint. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. When it comes down to their price tags, the iPhone Air right now costs about $1,000. The iPhone 13 Pro Max costs about, maybe like a couple $100, probably like $300 something, maybe even cheaper than that. So it's not really going to be that expensive, which can, again, be an advantage for you. So if you're trying to go through and pick up a phone, that right there also is going to be an advantage on the price tag. When it comes down to the cameras, this is also another very important thing. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, like I said before, is going to be giving you this triple camera setup. They're all basically 12 megapixel sensors, and it's like a pretty good camera. The iPhone Air is going to be giving you the single camera setup. So this camera, it's going to be a single 48 megapixel fusion camera. So it gives you kind of like this effect, but it's not really, it's kind of the same thing. Here's the thing. The iPhone 13 Pro Max gives you the ability of zooming in and zooming out more than the iPhone Air. The iPhone Air gives you 1x and 2x zoom. The The iPhone 13 Pro Max gives you 0.5x zoom and 3x zoom because it has that ultra-wide camera. So that right there is a really nice advantage for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. With that being said, the iPhone Air's camera I think is probably going to be the one that might be slightly better. The reason for that is because the iPhone Air does give you like cinematic mode. Well, they both give you cinematic mode, but the iPhone Air gives you just a better sensor that's going to be giving you better quality photos and videos. Also, it's going to be giving you this dual capture mode and center stage capability on that front camera. So that is going to be a slight advantage for something like an iPhone Air. But I still think with something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max, that's a pretty good camera, and it just kind of shows you the weirdness of the iPhone Air kind of, because I feel like Apple could have done a little bit of a better job with that particular camera when it came down to it. So again, not the biggest deal in the world, but that is just going to be another one of those small minor things you might end up running into when it kind of comes down to it. When it comes down to software longevity, this is going to be a big advantage for the iPhone Air. That phone is going to be giving you a significantly longer lifespan for the most part when compared to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, probably at least like 4 years. So you could end up getting the iPhone Air, lasting you about 4 years more than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So if that's something that's important to you, then that's definitely going to be something that's going to be really, really nice to experience there with something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Whereas with something with the iPhone Air, where the iPhone 13 Pro Max isn't really going to last that long. When it comes down to their battery life, the iPhone 13 Pro Max from Apple's website states it gives you 28 hours of video playback, where the iPhone Air gives you 27 hours of video playback. So that right there is also another crazy thing to kind of experience from that side as well. When it comes down to their performance, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is going to be giving you the Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with basically 6 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone Air is going to be giving you this A19 Pro chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM as well. So with something like an iPhone Air, this particular phone is going to be giving you a very, very fast device. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be significantly faster than the iPhone 13 Pro Max, right? Now, I will say, if you're trying to get the phone that's like value per dollar the same, I think the iPhone Air still will be faster, even though it's $1,000 compared to the 13 Pro Max being a couple $100. So that right there is an advantage for the iPhone Air once again. But still, if you're trying to get the phone that isn't going to break the bank, I think the 13 Pro Max's performance really still is not that bad. And you might still be able to get like a decent type of experience from that type of device when it comes down to it from that side as well. But like I said before, if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you the faster, better experience, it's going to have to be something like an iPhone. It's going to be the iPhone Air. So to kind of sum it up, what I can definitely tell you is that in my personal opinion, something like the iPhone Air makes a lot of sense to buy if you have unlimited money. If you have all the money in the world, then I would definitely recommend buying something like an iPhone Air. That's the one that makes a lot more sense to go ahead and buy. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, I feel like this type of device, I feel like it's a great phone, right? It was a great phone when it first came out, and it still is in a lot of ways, still is like a pretty decent phone to buy. But I feel like there's a lot of phones in between that you should also consider. Phones like an iPhone, 15 Pro or iPhone 15 Pro Max. I feel like that phone costs significantly cheaper than the iPhone Air. It's a little bit more expensive than the 13 Pro Max, but that phone is a very good phone. And I would say in some ways that phone is going to be giving you a better experience than the iPhone Air. So I'd probably recommend looking at those types of phones rather than, these two. But the choice is yours, but that's kind of how I see these types of devices holding up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.